Hi, folks. If you want truth, then this channel may provide you real and concise information about the current world situation. Let's talk about the Japan problem. As you know, Japan is just a US colony. American military bases are all over the place. You might be surprised to know that the airfields of Tokyo is in fact controlled by the US Air Force. There are large US military bases surrounding the capital city of Japan. Japan is not an independent country and it is just a lapdog of the US. Japan's economy has been downfall for decades. For decades, economic growth is almost zero and GDP has been almost the same. Japanese have problem growing economy because of its culture. They don't want new businesses. Yes, it's ridiculous. But people don't want to lose their current jobs rather than changing jobs. The government subsidizes many small firms not to bankrupt. The government also implement many regulations on economy to protect many outdated industries. Yes, its society is stable and unemployment rate is low. But to do so they have to sacrifice economy growth and young generations have no future to better off than today. As long as they can import cheap products, it's been fine to live the decent lives. However, since last year, the significant inflation started. The static shows the inflation rate somewhere around 4%. This is not a real number. Prices have gone up more than 50%, especially food and daily goods. Many companies reduced quantities of each goods to make prices look as same as before, which is quite laughable. Japanese are not living hand to mouth yet, but they can't afford to travel abroad like they did before because they see prices in the US or Europe is much higher compared to those in Japan. Their national debt is huge. They can't raise interest rates. If they do that, Japanese government has to go bankrupt. So their currency will be depreciated more in the coming future. And that will cause more inflation and soon they will realize their lives have serious problems. To tackle the inflation, they need cheap energy to support their economy. But they halted cooperation with Russia on energy development in Sakhalin due to sanction. However, unless Japan becomes neutral country, they can't import cheap energy from Russia or develop energy by themselves. Japan has been forced to import energy by trading with US dollars. Although Japan have huge US Treasury bond, they are not allowed to sell it. The US is always monitoring Japan not to become a neutral state or become friendly with China and Russia. If some politicians try to do so, they soon lose power or some scandal will be released to take them out from the political power. Perhaps you know why. Like Ukraine, Japan have no choices to follow directions from Washington. It is no doubt that Japanese economy will have a big trouble in the future. Will the US help Japan? We don't believe so. The US won't help Japan. It is just one of those countries the US is using for the global dominance. The US military stays there as long as they can get money from the Japanese government. If the US government think they have to spend huge money to support their military bases, they will abandon them. As long as China's economy grows, it is quite certain that Japan has to become a part of the Chinese economy, which is almost triple the size of the Japan's GDP. Japanese political system is not working for economical growth. People use politics to protect their own economical interests. There is no Uber taxis in Japan because taxi businesses are tightly regulated by law. You can't buy imported butter in Japan because the Ministry of Agriculture protects small-sized dairy farmers. Airbnb hosting is limited to 180 days by law to protect old hotels or hostels. The hotel industry is a special interests in Japan. Lists go on and on. Besides, people have tendency to criticize new businesses, and they are really conservative. So Japan has literally been suppressing economy growth by themselves. We highly recommend not to try to do business in Japan. Together with the huge language barrier and lack of transparency in regulations, it may not be wise to invest in Japan. Imagine you start a business in Japan and soon people come to ask for something like donation or dedication to the community. If you reject it, you will soon have a big trouble and only to waste money. It is not a fault for US car companies to have failed selling cars in Japan. Japanese really hate foreign companies. That's it. There is almost no Korean cars in Japan. Non-tariff barriers are real in Japan. Thank you for watching and take care of yourself.